All right, so I had the opportunity from Ray CDJR to drive the new 4xe Wrangler, and I'm going to give you a little walk around from what I see the differences on the JL, a normal JL. So if you already have a JL or been a JL, a lot of this will be old hat, but so I'm going to show you kind of the differences that point out to me from a JL to this. So like any hybrid vehicle, it's weird, but it's running, right? Everything turns on, but you don't hear anything. Literally no motor starts, nothing happens, you know? So even if you put it in gear, we're driving, it's awkwardly quiet, right? Which again, any hybrid vehicle is gonna have that, but solely battery operated right now. So that's the first weird thing that kind of stands out. Most of this stuff is all the same. There was one cool setting in here that I saw that was kind of just a cool thing, but forward camera, clean camera and glass. There's a washer on that camera, so when you push that button, it washes the front camera as well as at the same time it wipes the rear window down. Kind of cool for trail rides, but the camera on that I think is better than the standard JL. I think they figured that out. This max regeneration. So what that does is when you're driving this Jeep and you let off the throttle, it instantly feels like someone threw out an anchor behind you. And what happens is it's using the torque from the Jeep itself, the drivetrain, to charge back to the battery. So when you're driving, you'll actually watch this gauge go down into the charge mode, so you know that the battery is actually charging. If you've driven a golf cart, it's the same kind of idea, and at first it feels very awkward, but if you think about it, and I drove this, you almost don't even need to use your brakes. So once you get used to it, two things: it charges your battery, and it really takes the wear and tear off your brake system. So that's super awesome, and that's how you turn that on and off, is right there. You don't have to use that. Interior wise, basically everything looks very much the same. I personally think they should have done the blue stitching to match all the blue accents. That would be my one little critique. If I had to guess, this is going to be the same interior on the 392, which has all the gold, so maybe they just opted to not make another set of stitching or seats. I'm not sure, but I think the blue would have been cooler. Maybe it's a trim package thing, I'm not sure yet. Interior wise, this is a high altitude, it's got the adaptive cruise control, it's awesomely equipped, so all that is standard JL stuff. This is kind of cool. Again, I don't think this is standard to the 4xe, but I think it's neat. You got 4-high auto and 4-high part-time, so it kind of takes that question away of, hey, I'm not driving on completely wet or snowy surfaces, what should I be in? So that's kind of almost reminds me of the Select Trek transfer cases in the older Cherokees and Grand Cherokees. Tells you on here how much time you have, how much time you charge on 120 volts versus 240. Obviously it's a huge difference, so if you find a charging station with the 240 volt, you're definitely a better candidate there. So let's go on the outside. I'll show you some of the differences there. Obviously this is what stands out the most, right? Here's where you charge it. Gives you a little indicator here. When you plug it in, this lights up and tells you kind of where you're at. The other thing that's kind of cool is right here, almost like a Night Rider light, if you will, it lights up much like your phone would. And as the charge progresses, you'll have more blue lights that light up across the dash. So if you're coming out, or you can get a quick visual of how much power your battery has without coming back to the Jeep. Got the blue accents, which again I think is super cool. It looks awesome on the silver. I've seen people asking, does it come in other colors? It does, and Ray actually has a black one on ground as well too. But the blue is super cool. Again, you've got your blind spot monitor stuff, proximity door handles. This is the high altitude again, so you got the color matched everything, which I think is super cool. The 4xe badge, I think is awesome. It did an awesome job. The E looks like a little plug. The blue obviously kind of stands for electric. Back here, all standard as you would expect. And you've got your cord comes in here. Now the only difference that I have noticed is this, right? So how do you get in here? In all my knowledge, this is the first time in history that Jeep has had a locking gas cap. Normally there's not even a cover on it. So if you come here, you open it, and now you can get in there. My understanding is that there's something to do with this fuel tank system being pressurized. And I think the thought process behind that is fuel can go bad, you know, nowadays with this ethanol and everything we have. So I think the thought process is you may not fill this up before the fuel actually goes bad. So there's something with pressurizing that tank. I think that helps prolong the life of that fuel. Again, I could be wrong. I'm not an expert. That's what I've read. So again, you can switch between your modes: hybrid, full electric, and e-save, which is basically going to be more of your it's going to be gas engine heavy versus anything else. In the back, 4xe, you got this special stitching. Again, I think it would have been really cool if they would have carried that blue all the way through, but who am I? And then this is where, I guess, the magic happens, if you will, right? So that's where the batteries go. So some may say you lose storage, that sucks. Oh look, an old CJ2A with a little battery symbol in it. That's cool. I personally like it because if you have kids, all this shit can't go back there. So I think it's actually, I kind of like it because that's where I'm fishing everything out of. So to me, that would be no loss. Let's look under the hood. So under the hood, you got a Jeep 2.0 liter turbo motor. So to the best of my knowledge, this is mostly the same motor that's found in the JLs with the 4-cylinder motor. But you'll notice a lot of the stuff, like the AC and a lot of the components that are normally belt driven, are now electronic. So that's the big thing you'll see under here. Everything mostly looks the same. Obviously that big charging wire is the thing that stands out. So yeah, motor's off, absolutely no RPMs. So we're still running all battery. When you're on the throttle over on the right side, it tells you how much power you're using. So if you notice on the right side, it says charging. So if you've ever driven a golf cart before, I'm not touching the brakes and the vehicle's coming to a stop. It's kind of the same idea. So it's got this regenerative charging mode. So as soon as you let off the throttle, you can almost feel the resistance. Let me see it. And it actually goes into charge mode. So in hybrid mode, you can see even at 40 miles an hour, the engine's not running, and we're barely using any power over there. In fact, if we let off the throttle, it'll actually go down and start charging. Now that's because it's in regenerative mode. You can turn that off if you don't like the braking, but if you get used to it, it'll actually you'll never have to do a brake job on this thing. So super quiet, 100% running on battery right now. And you can change between hybrid, electric, or a mix of the two. So here you can go from hybrid, electric, or e-save. So we're on electric right now, and you can see the tachometer. It is, it's not moving. I can't hear because of the car next to me, but it is dead quiet. It's silent. It's literally not making any noise. Let's see if you can hear it once I pull in here. Let's turn off the AC. So yeah, literally no noise. You go to e-save. I still think at slow speeds. So that'll save the battery. So you got two modes basically. You can do hybrid, which is a mix, obviously, electric. So if you're running out of fuel, you go to electric. If you're running out of battery, you go to e-save. You can go right in the middle. But this thing's incredible. If you've never driven hybrid, it's super weird because there's nothing running right now. No RPMs. It's super quiet. Don't hold me to it, but I believe it has almost 470 foot-pounds of torque when you go between the electric motor as well as the 4-cylinder motor. So it's no slouch. It feels like it's got a V8 in it, so I'll be real curious to drive the 392 and see what it really feels like against that. But overall, I'm super impressed. It's kind of a weird feature, but I'm sitting here and nothing's running and the AC is on and it's cold in here. So like, obviously it's electric, but there's little things that kind of stand out to you. It's super weird. So as an unbiased review, I'm super impressed. I guess, you know, reviews and longevity of everything else and time will tell, but I think Jeep did a hell of a job on this. The simple fact of how quiet it is, even when you're driving it down the road and the engine is on, and when it transfers between the motor and the battery, it's pretty much seamless. For a first time thing, I think they hit a home run, and I think these things are going to be a hot seller personally. So if you're interested, obviously come check out our sponsor Ray. Thanks for letting me take it for a spin and kind of get a feel for it. But overall, I think it's going to be a huge success, and I think they did a heck of a job.